To keep our families safe. And that includes Chris Millicitz, who is president of the Lincoln Police Union, and Sergeant Max Hudbeka, the treasurer, along with some of our fine captains who are here today, Captain Anthony Butler, Captain Marty Farringer, and Captain Scheinweist. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
Oh, sorry. I have a tough name. I like to try and make sure I get people's names right. And of course, Captain Jackson. Our residents have long placed safety and security at the top of their priority list for city government, and it is my priority as mayor to make sure that we continue to live in a safe city. That means we must continue to add officers and other resources to keep pace with the demands of our growing community. Today, I am pleased to announce that we will use annual savings in the Lincoln Police Department budget to hire 6 new officers. And because the savings include funds allocated for the salary of former Public Safety Director Tom Cassidy, who recently retired, we will be increasing force strength by 5. With the addition of these new officers, we plan to assign new roles to 6 of our veteran police officers. 5 of those veteran officers will become investigators, 1 for each of LPD's geographic teams. The addition of team investigators was identified as a priority by a diverse internal working group of LPD employees. The 6th veteran officer will be dedicated to another extremely important effort: preventing child abuse, child sexual assault, and children being trafficked while outside the care of their families. While our community's low crime rate and sense of security are a point of pride, Lincoln's growth brings with it a growth in the demands placed on our officers. And just one example of this is the increased need for a police presence at events in the rail yard in West Haymarket. We need new officers to help us keep pace with the growing workload, and we need the officers we already have to remain with us. We do not want to continue to lose LPD talent to other departments, such as the City of Omaha and the university. The team investigators will aid in our retention efforts by creating new career growth opportunities within the force and by alleviating workload pressure on other officers, reducing some of their investigative duties. This force augmentation will also increase LPD's ability to follow up on individual cases. So as you can see, this plan is an important step towards creating better working conditions for our police officers, as well as creating a safer community. The new officers are scheduled to be hired in January 2020. The team investigators will require academy and field training and are expected to be ready for their new assignments in November 2020. And at this time, I'd like to invite Chief Bleimeister to give us more details on the proposal. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Well, good morning, and thanks for coming out today and covering this, because it is exciting news and one that I think is definitely needed in our community. So I want to extend my thanks to Mayor Gail Baird and her team for their leadership in addressing this within the ranks of the Lincoln Police Department and in Lincoln. And I also want to take some time to recognize the efforts of several others in the room today whose hard work and in-depth analysis will allow the reprioritization of existing budgetary expenditures that led to the increase of our authorized strength. So Assistant Chief Brian Jackson is here with us today, and Lincoln Police Finance Director Michelle Salvage. And not here today, but one that I also want to recognize is City Finance Director Brandon Kaufman and his team, because without all of their work and the information provided not only to us, but to the mayor and her staff, we would not be able to do this. I just kind of want to give a little bit of a scope of some of the issues that we're attempting to address. So the expectations of every investigation continues to grow exponentially. And I've had the opportunity to speak publicly many times about a couple of those. Over the last decade, a 212% increase in forensic digital exams of cell phones and computers. In that same decade, 487% growth in the requests for in-depth video analysis. So that's the 10-year trend line, and then we look at it year to date, because we do take pride in making data-driven decisions, both budgetary and in our operations. So far this year, 123% increase in the number of cell phones that have been analyzed over the same time period last year, and a 13% increase in the number of videos. So as you can see, those are just 2 components, but components that make investigations much more complex. So after the completion of their training program, the 5 geographic teams, 3 of which are represented here today, will increase their staffing, and it will do many of the things as mentioned by the mayor. And we know that most of all, it's going to improve the services we provide to victims of crime. In addition, the support by the mayor allowing the reallocation of the current existing position formerly held by the public safety director is going to address another need in our community. And the scope there, 734 missing person cases, missing juveniles that we've investigated so far this year. That position is focused on improving the quality of life and minimizing the number of times that those individuals come into contact with us both this year and throughout their lifetime. And with that, I want to turn it over to Investigator Millicitz, representing Lincoln Police Union, and also, I think Chris is going to talk with you today. So.
Hi, my name's Chris Millicitz. I'm the president of the police union, and I want to thank the mayor and her staff for inviting the union to come speak with you today, as well as the chief and the command staff that are present. The mayor's been in office now for a month, and she has already made a commitment to add officers to our authorized strength, and I can tell you the union drastically appreciates that. When she was running for mayor, one of her campaign messages was public safety, and I think that she's taken a step in the right direction at this point in time to add 6 police officers to our authorized strength. The union has said for the past 15 or 20 years that we are drastically understaffed. We have not maintained a growth on the police department staffing level wise that rises to the growth of the city, both geographically in size as well as the population. I believe that when I was hired in 1995, it was 97 or 98 when we were at our highest staffing levels in the history. We were about 1.38 officers for every 1,000 citizens in about 1997 or 1998, and today we stand at 1.22. So that goes to show you that we have not maintained the staffing level growth on the police department that we have with the growth in the population of the city. So this is a step in the right direction. We appreciate the mayor adding to our authorized strength. We are going to be able to utilize these team investigators, as the mayor and the chief said. The chief did a pilot project here recently where he assigned team investigators to each geographical team. That seemed to be very popular with our street officers because it alleviated some of the workload and the follow-up that they were tasked with on a day-to-day basis, in addition to having to respond to calls for service and take other police-related calls. So this is a step in the right direction. We thank the mayor, and we hope that this continues in the future. And that's about it. Thank you.
With that, a lot of people with a lot of expertise up here, and we're welcome to answer any and all questions that you may have. And William.
You haven't been, this one is directed toward the mayor, you haven't been in office for very long, but you've already come out with this plan. How long has it been in the works for?
Well, this has been a priority of mine and the city's and the public's the entire time I've been in service to our community. But we wanted to hit the ground running, and when we talked about public safety as a top priority, we meant it. So immediately began to have meetings with departmental leaders and their finance staff to help analyze the budget and look for ways to get things done. We knew that the retirement of Tom Cassidy would allow for some resources that could be reassigned to help augment the force, but we wanted to do more than just 2 officers if we could. And this was the analysis that we did, again, with Chief Blimeister's excellent leadership and his great team. We settled on the ability to do this and to do it right now. This is using existing resources. There's no overall increase to the city budget, so we'll be able to move on this immediately.
Chris kind of touched on this a little bit. The city of Lincoln is growing at an alarming rate. How important is it that we have more police officers to keep the city safe?
Well, I would say it's a great rate, not alarming. We're happy about the growth, let's just be clear. But it's important, I mean, we are so lucky that we live in a community that prides itself on the safety and security that we offer our residents. We think it's a way that we can recruit others to come live here and to try to keep people to raise their families here. And we value the efficiency of the Lincoln Police Department. I mean, not many communities can boast the track record that LPD can boast, especially when you look at how lean they are. But as the chief said, the increasing demands with new technologies and the new way of doing business as a police officer, and to do community policing with the level of excellence that this team does, it does require more as the city grows. And, one of the reasons we went forward and the public agreed that we needed to create a new joint police fire station and with the public safety ballot initiative is because we really do need to make sure we can continue to hit our emergency response times, that we have better coverage. And frankly, these folks need to take vacations too. They need to have the ability to schedule their time off and bring their full selves to the job when they are here. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, that's
Okay.
great.
I have a question for the chief.
Yes, Eddie.
We've done stories in the past about how manpower has been
Bless you.
short in the electronic investigation division. Any of these officers might be in the future assigned to help boost that number?
That's a great question. And so what we have done to address the two particular topics that I just spoke about, which is one, electronic evidence, and two is video analysis, as we have reclassified existing positions, civilian positions, within the Lincoln Police Department to address the actual work there. But if we really explore how this manifests itself, when officers on the street, on the 5 geographic teams are responding, every single investigation that they're doing, from a vandalism to a homicide, involves this analysis. And so the team investigators are really going to be that conduit between the street officers, the first responders, and those with that advanced expertise. And that's how we believe that the community, the service we provide to those citizens will improve. Wait.
Generally, when we were just talking about numbers, how much does 6 new officers cost?
Good question. And so that's the hard work that Michelle has done along with Brian A.C. Jackson and the finance staff, and once again analyzed by the mayor's office. So if we're looking at a snapshot in time, 2020 is when our next academy will start, where we can recruit this number of officers. And so we're projecting these costs both in 2020 and then the budget years to follow. And roughly 5 new officers is going to be about $435,000 with benefits. Some of that we really have to forecast because we don't know whether or not the individual is going to have single coverage in their health insurance or family coverage, and there's a difference there. So that's what we're looking at, is about $435,000, and as the mayor mentioned, there is some of that is offset based upon the previously existing salary and benefit package attributed to the public safety director, and the remainder will be based upon reprioritization within our existing budget. Good question. Anybody else? Riley, staying till last.
I had some more nitty-gritty follow-ups.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for what you do every day. Thank you for your hard work. Your analysis made this possible. And thank you as well for your remarks and making the time to be here.